After the break, William and Kate enjoy a sunny day in Soho, but the weather is already putting some coronation plans in doubt. Tonight, getting into the coronation spirit. A pint in the pub and a trip on the train. William and Kate have a sunny day in Soho as people around the city get ready to celebrate.
My whole soul left my body. I couldn't believe it. And then I broke down after she walked away and just sobbed.
But the weather could still put a dampener on celebrations.
Yes, the big fly pass for Saturday afternoon could be cancelled because of cloud and rain.
Also on the programme, the family of the 31-year-old killed by a stranger in Brixton paid tribute to their loving girl and say their hearts are broken. The pioneering new surgery keeping footballers on their feet, plus Sing for the King, the primary school pupils giving Andrew Lloyd Webber a run for his money. Good afternoon. All eyes will be on the capital this weekend as King Charles is officially crowned at Westminster Abbey. In all corners of London, people are gearing up to celebrate. The Prince and Princess of Wales, with no exception, taking a ride on the Elizabeth line to a pub in Soho, where they pulled pints and chatted with punters. This weekend's celebrations are likely to be a big and much-needed boost for the capital's hospitality sector, with more than £120 million expected to be spent on food and drink. For those not in the pub or at home watching on TV, giant screens are going up in our royal parks. There's one now. But with the weather forecast looking less than cheery, some plans are already having to be scaled back. We'll have more on that in a moment, but first, Rags Martel on how London and the royals are preparing.
There'll be golden carriages on Saturday. But this morning, William and Kate travelled in a tube carriage, the royal couple taking the Elizabeth line for the first time.
It was a real honour to be on that carriage with them, and really kind of unique to see them on the train, because it's not a place you expect to see them.
After getting off at Tottenham Court Road, they headed to Soho on foot for a pre-coronation drink at the Dog and Duck, though the Prince noted the lack of alcohol.
You were on water, which is disappointing.
True to his word, the first in line to the throne poured a pint of the royally titled Kingmaker. Outside, crowds were gathering. They were soon treated to a royal meet and greet.
You met Kate?
Yes,
How was that?
the best thing ever.
What did you talk about?
We talked about how I have a ring that my husband got me to be like hers. And then I said, can I get a selfie? And she said, absolutely. So,
Wow, that's so good.
It's so good, except for I'm like, ooh. And then she said, well, do you have any plans this weekend? And I said, yes, I'm going to come see you at the balcony. And she said, I'll be looking for your hair. So I left my body completely blacked out.
Molly Nicole has also come over from America and filmed her brief one-to-one with the Prince.
It's a good American representation of her.
Big fan. I got these for Kate, but you can have them too. Yes.
How special is it meeting a prince?
I don't know if I'm ever going to get over this. I mean, he's the future king of England. I don't know if I will remember this forever.
I've never been happier in my whole life. I have been waiting for that moment, and I'm not even close to joking, for more than 10 years.
Really? Why?
I admire what they do. I'm an American. I don't have anything similar to that ever.
And the pub's manager not only happy with this royal visit, but also by the economic boost the coronation is bringing.
Last week the tourist numbers have increased in London. You can tell by the different accents around. There's hundreds and thousands of people coming in, and they love nothing more than coming to a traditional British pub.
How much is that boost needed, the coronation pub boost?
Absolutely massive, yeah, absolutely massively. It's been a tough few years. We're not going to dwell on the past. Let's talk about what the good stuff that's going to come now.
What will be the agency drink?
With the pre-drinks in Soho done, William and Kate left to get ready for the bigger royal celebrations this weekend. Rags Martel, ITV News.
It was sunny in Soho, but the big coronation flypast could be scaled back or cancelled altogether because the weather this weekend is not looking so great. More than 60 aircraft are supposed to fly over the Mall and Buckingham Palace. But what about people down on the ground? We're expecting a crowd of thousands. Huge TV screens are being put up in the royal parks. Helen Keenan is in St James's for us now. Helen, I'm guessing organisers are confident people will turn out no matter what.
Absolutely. I mean, they'll be hoping for glorious weather like this, I'm sure. But they say come rain or shine, they're expecting plenty of people to be turning out to watch the procession and coronation on big screens like the one you can see behind me. Now, I've been talking to organisers earlier and they say they're anticipating tens of thousands of people coming down, and they think here at St James's Park will get particularly busy, but they tell me there are plenty of other screens elsewhere for people to watch it on.
We were actually hosting 3 screen sites across our central parks. So we've got one in Hyde Park, one in Green Park and one in St James's Park where we are here now. At all of those screen sites we'll have additional facilities. As you can imagine, we're expecting quite large crowds this weekend. So we've got additional catering, bars and also toilet facilities. And we'll also have our Royal Parks volunteers here to welcome everybody, ask any questions that they might have. So just looking forward to everyone to come along.
So look, while we can just pack our umbrellas and come along to enjoy the historic moment, it's obviously not the case for the Red Arrows. There's a real issue there, and the issue is safety. Now, what's being said is that the fly past could be scaled back. There's nothing confirmed yet, but they are worried about that cloud and rain, and cancellation has been mentioned, but that is an absolute last resort. Now, there were actually fears over the late Queen's coronation that a flypast could be cancelled then, but the weather did brighten up and it did go ahead, so here's hoping history can repeat itself.
Yes, stay tuned for the forecast, Helen. Thank you very much for now. Well, from a special call to prayer to the national anthem sung in Hebrew, Londoners of all faiths are finding their own ways to celebrate this weekend. In return, King Charles's coronation will be unique, including representatives from other faiths, including Jews and Muslims for the first time. Anton Allen has spent the day with some of those proud to celebrate shared values.
The sound of coronation preparation. Across the capital, places of worship are getting ready for the big weekend. Finsbury Park United Synagogue will be singing the national anthem in Hebrew and English. God save the King. In Morden, the Ahmadiyya Muslim community is spreading the word about their weekend of festivities.
In the first half of the programme, we are going to be talking about the coronation.
He who gives salvation to the King.
Synagogues have been issued a new prayer for the royal family.
Most of the people here are older people, been in the First World War, Second World War and other wars. And as a Jew, it's an honour and a privilege living in this great country and being a free person.
Friday's Shabbat will take on special historic significance.
It's very important because some of our members have been at the coronation for King George, Queen Elizabeth, and now for King Charles.
The Battle for Tour Mosque will welcome and feed thousands of people. They've prepared food boxes for those struggling to celebrate due to the cost of living crisis. The Amans have high hopes for King Charles's reign.
The values of equality, justice, fairness, that may he be able to continue that legacy, that work that his mother left behind.
Celebrate good times, come on! At City Hall, the London Mayor led a special event. For the first time in history, King Charles's coronation will be multi-faith. The religious leaders here, a proud diversity in society, is reflected in the ceremony.
Whilst, of course, he's a Christian, he is a person of massive spirituality and huge respect for people of all faiths. So I think he will want to live out that title in a different way from his predecessors because he's a king for now.
I can only speak on behalf of Hindu community. We are the third largest community in the United Kingdom. So it is nice that the head of the state who is saying he's not only defender of faith, but defender of all faith. So it is very important.
Britain's demographic has changed significantly since the Queen's coronation in 1953. For those who do want to recognise King Charles, they can in their own diverse way. Anton Allen, ITV News.
And we'll have plenty more on the coronation later in the programme and on the ITV Evening News at 6:30. But now, moving on, and the family of a 31-year-old woman killed by a stranger on Bank Holiday Monday say their hearts are completely broken. Jonita Dogby was attacked in the middle of the afternoon on Stockwell Park Walk. She was walking home after buying a birthday present for her mum. Sam Holder is in Brixton for us now. Sam, what are Jonita's family saying?
Well, Duncan, as you can imagine, her family are grieving and in disbelief. The fact that this young woman, their loved one, was apparently stabbed to death at random by a stranger here in Brixton on Monday. Her family have now released 2 pictures of Jonita Dogby, and in a statement they described her as a smart, loving girl who helped anyone and that she wouldn't hurt a fly. They added that they can't imagine who would do this to her. Police believe that she did not know her attacker, that she was approached from behind before being stabbed to death. The latest on that is that a 33-year-old man is being held in police custody currently. The police applied to have that custody extended after being arrested on suspicion of her murder.
Sam in Brixton, thank you. The Israeli army has killed a group of Palestinian men suspected of being involved in the deaths of 3 Londoners. Lucy D and 2 of her daughters, Maya and Rena, died when their car was attacked near their home in the West Bank last month. Well, Daniel Henry is across this story for us. Daniel, what more do we know?
This is a truly, truly awful set of events. You've got a family from London who have emigrated to Israel just a few years ago. They're celebrating Passover, they're driving, and they're caught in crossfire. And that crossfire eventually kills 2 daughters and a mother. And this family was particularly popular in Hendon, partly because their father is a rabbi, Father Rabbi Leo D. And we're now around 4 weeks on from that tragedy, and you've got the Israeli authorities and the Palestinian authorities putting out statements today, ultimately confirming that a security operation has taken place which has removed the people who they believe to be responsible for this terrible tragedy. There was a statement put out from Leo D. Let me read it to you. He said that the kids and I have been comforted to hear that the Israeli security forces have eliminated the Iranian-funded terrorists responsible for Lucy, Maya and Rena's murders. But despite this sense of comfort that he's talking about, the conflict that caused their passing, that still remains in the Middle East.
OK, Daniel, thank you. A Met police officer who paralysed a man by tasering him has told a court he was just trying to do his job. PC Imran Mahmood is accused of unlawfully inflicting grievous bodily harm on Jordan Walker-Brown during a patrol in the first lockdown in 2020. Jordan left the courtroom this afternoon while PC Mahmood gave a tearful testimony. Carolyn Sim has more.
With the support of family and friends, Jordan Walker-Brown arrived in court. It was exactly 3 years ago to the day that he was paralysed from the waist down after being tasered by a police officer. Today, the jury was again shown police body cam footage of that day, when PC Imran Mahmood leaves a marked van and approaches Mr. Walker-Brown, and he runs away. Mahmood chases him along Burgoyne Road in Haringey, shouting for him to stop as he produces his taser. It ends in a front garden where Mr. Walker-Brown climbs onto a wheelie bin and is tasered. He falls backwards over the fence, hitting his head on the footpath below and breaking his back. The prosecution today showed a frame-by-frame repeat of the footage. They claim Mr. Walker-Brown didn't present a physical threat and hadn't pulled out a weapon, that it wasn't a reasonable use of force in the circumstances, and that PC Mahmood would have known that tasering someone at height carries a particular risk. Earlier, the statement made by Imran Mahmood shortly after the incident was read out in court. In it, he said, "I discharged my taser because I believed Mr. Walker-Brown was armed with a knife. I believed he'd turned towards us and would have moved from flight to fight. I honestly believed I had to stop this imminent threat to my safety." He added, "I had no idea that there was a longer drop behind the wall." As they watched the body cam footage, Mr. Walker-Brown and his family became upset and left the courtroom. His grandmother was heard sobbing as she walked out. PC Mahmood then took the stand and became emotional when he told the defence team he'd been living with this for 3 years and hadn't anticipated the chase would end the way it did that day. It was heard that he'd wanted to stop and search Mr. Walker-Brown because he appeared to be walking with no obvious purpose. He was wearing a hoodie in warm weather and carrying a bum bag. The officer from Plaistow in East London doesn't dispute inflicting grievous bodily harm, but denies that it was unlawful. The trial continues. Carolyn Sim, ITV News.
Next tonight, Londoners are being asked to sign up for what's being described as a fostering revolution. The charity, Now Foster, have teamed up with Newham Council to encourage people in the capital to consider opening their homes to vulnerable children in the same way they did for Ukrainian refugees. The need is more urgent now than ever. Across the country, it's thought there'll be a shortfall of around 25,000 foster families by 2026. And in London, the fostering network estimates we'll need to recruit more than 1,000 new carers in the next 12 months alone. The deficit often means pushing children into expensive residential homes, which can cost councils up to £200,000 a year. Well, Katie Waldegrave is one of the founders of Now Foster and joins me now. Welcome to you, Katie. You described the shortage of carers in London as catastrophic. Why do you use that word?
Because we are in the midst of an appalling recruitment crisis. We simply don't have enough foster carers. We rely on far too few people to do too much. And I feel like more of us need to step up.
Why is London different to other parts of the UK? What are the pressures here?
Well, we do, of course, have particular pressures simply in density of housing. You need spare rooms to foster children, and you need more than one, really, generally, to foster sibling groups. And we have a particularly urgent need for sibling groups. Housing is expensive, so it is particularly critical in London, though it is a national crisis.
So what are you trying to do? How are you trying to target parents and encourage them to sign up?
We're just trying to reach more people and make more people consider it. I'm always struck by the fact that, I think there are about 12,000 London homes opened themselves to Ukrainians, which is a wonderful thing. Last year, I think 540 families were newly registered to foster care in London. And of course, they're not the same thing, and I wouldn't pretend for a moment they are. But it does feel like, whilst fostering won't be right for all of us, it must be right for more of us, and there are more of us who could step up. So rather nervously, my husband and I are in the process of applying at the moment. Wow. And I guess we just want to encourage more people to do it.
Of course, lots of Londoners and people in the home counties work long hours and commute. What if people are sat at home thinking, gosh, I really want to help out, but actually I'm worried that I haven't got the time to provide the stability that a child needs?
Well, I think if anyone has even the slightest interest, I'd love them, the dream would be anyone with a bit of curiosity, go and have a look at our website and other organisations. You referenced the Fostering Network and great places, but our website, Now Foster, has got a great sort of readiness checker tool. And if everyone just thinks about it, it feels like a lot of people think about adoption at some point in their lives, and that's great. We know what adoption is. Fostering, I think people often just don't know what it entails, what it could involve, and whether it would be feasible for them. Not for everybody, but probably right for more people than realise it.
What do you think is the biggest misconception then about fostering?
It's a great question. I think one of the biggest misconceptions is that inevitably once you've fostered a child, you will never see that child again. That can be the case, but it's less often the case. It depends with the child you take and the setup. A massive one that we're looking to counter is that you cannot work and foster. It would depend again on the age of the child and the needs of the child, but I work part-time, and I think that can be great for some children to have that example.
So Katie, the message is go and find out more. You might be surprised.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for coming in. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
An aspiring footballer from Dartford has become one of the first young people in the country to benefit from a pioneering type of reconstructive knee surgery. The technique is being trialled by surgeons at Tunbridge Wells Hospital and involves using part of the hamstring donated by one of the patient's parents to make the repair. For budding athletes who often suffer this type of injury, the new operation is already paying off. Kit Bradshaw has more.
Back on the pitch, but still not back to full fitness. That's after what happened to this aspiring professional footballer during an away game a year ago.
The ball went over the top, I've planted my foot in the ground, it's just gone. They said straight away that it's not looking good because it puffed up like really bad to start off with. And then we went to get an MRI done at the hospital like a week later probably, and they told us it's an ACL rupture.
Matthew was offered the opportunity to take part in a unique medical trial to repair his knee, where instead of having to have part of his own hamstring removed to replace his anterior cruciate ligament, one of his parents could donate theirs.
When they said parental donorship, how do you feel about it? It's just, as a parent, it's one less complication for the child to recover from. So he's got major knee surgery, but he hasn't got to worry about hamstring. So it's nice to be given that opportunity to sort of take that away from him.
And if we open the knee up, this structure here that's running from the front of the tibia right to the very back of the outside knuckle of the thigh bone is the anterior cruciate ligament.
The research project is for those aged under 18 and aims to reduce the risk of re-injuring the ACL when the patient returns to playing sport.
Mum and dad will, generally speaking, have thicker tendons than the child. So we leave the children intact, they have their own hamstrings at the end of it. We have a bigger graft, so there's no donor site morbidity. And potentially, in the future, if they needed further surgery, they'd have their own hamstrings. So there's all these potential advantages. The way we set it up is we have parallel theatres next door to each other, and we simply harvest the hamstring tendons off mum or dad, and we put them in a sterile pot, and they're transferred to the theatre next door, where the younger person is asleep, and we transplant them straight into the child as the new graft.
Tissue licenses for here.
The team involved in the study at Tunbridge Wells Hospital have spent years getting the correct permissions to carry out the surgery on the NHS.
It takes such a long time to set up. The research world is a slow process. But to finally open a study that looks like it's going to be really beneficial to our patients and might change the pathway for these patients throughout the whole of the NHS has been a great experience.
Matthew, who's from Dartford, hopes he'll be able to rejoin his Gillingham Academy teammates in the next few months. And thanks in part to surgical advances, his dream of playing professionally remains firmly in sight. Kit Bradshaw, ITV News.
OK, let's return to our top story now, the coronation. And people of all ages are gearing up for the celebrations. Flamingo Chicks is a charity based in Brent that gives children with disabilities and long-term illnesses a chance to enjoy dance with their friends. And ahead of Saturday, they've been practising a thing or two, including bowing and that all-important regal wave. Cafe Patter's been for a lesson.
Legs up high, let's go! Quick, quick.
A lesson in royalty. Here at Woodfield School, pupils are gearing up for the coronation by learning some fun facts about our country's monarch.
Yeah, well, that's the Queen, that's the crown the real Queen would have worn.
So we're looking at keywords and key royal palaces and places in the United Kingdom, as well as terms such as sceptre and orb and the regalia involved. So it's linked back to the curriculum, but it also really brings in that celebratory element of what's going on in the country and making sure everyone's included in that.
This programme, much like the coronation itself, is aimed at making this weekend's celebrations inclusive for children of all backgrounds, regardless of any disabilities. And they even managed to teach me a thing or two.
So I learned about coronation.
Yes.
And dancing.
Oh, can you show us some of your moves? What dancing did you learn?
I did this.
Wow.
And this.
I did coronation, and then I waved the flags.
You waved the flags? So, lots of fun and games, but let's see if they remember who they'll be waving the flag for. Whose big day is it?
Mine.
Not quite. Try again, Rosie.
Very good. Let's try again.
What's his name? King
King Charles.
King Charles. What's his name?
is King Charles.
King Charles, well done, well done. And after 45 minutes of dancing and bowing, there's just one more lesson left for the coronation. Cafe Pato, ITV News, Barnet.
OK, we've had some beautiful sunshine today, but as Helen mentioned earlier, there are concerns that we're in for a wet weekend, which could scupper some of the coronation plans, including the fly past. Here's Philippa now with the forecast.
ITV London weekday weather is sponsored by Octopus Electric Vehicles. Car, charger and energy.
Hello there. Well, the weather has been fairly quiet out there today. A good deal of dry weather and in the best of the sunshine, actually feeling pretty warm. However, the next few days don't look quite so promising. Very unsettled as we head into coronation weekend. Some spells of persistent rain on the way, and when it's not raining, I suspect we'll have a mixture of sunny spells and showers. And it's all down to low pressure. It will sit itself out towards the west of the UK. That's where it will stay through much of the long weekend. We'll see frontal systems feeding in from the southwest, and those will provide a focus for some fairly persistent rain at times. First on Coronation Day and then again on Bank Holiday Monday. But out there at the moment, still relatively quiet, largely dry through this evening, some clear spells initially, but as the night wears on, cloud will generally thicken up from the southwest. It will introduce a few showers, but with the increasing cloud and winds generally coming in from the south and southwest, it should also be a very mild night, and temperatures for many of us will stay in double figures. So a mild start to the day tomorrow. I think rather cloudy initially and some showers around from the word go. And then as the day wears on, the cloud will start to thin and break. We'll see some lovely sunny spells, but as the temperatures rise, so too we'll see further showers bubbling up. And if you catch one, it could well be heavy, perhaps thundery, maybe even a little hail thrown in and some gusty winds to boot. But in the sunshine in between, actually feeling relatively warm once again, highs of 18 or 19 degrees. So a showery day to round off the working week. Those showers tending to fade overnight into Saturday, but for Coronation Day itself, a band of rain moves in from the southwest. More unsettled weather to come.
ITV London weekday weather is sponsored by Octopus Electric Vehicles.
Finally, with a coronation comes a coronation anthem. Andrew Lloyd Webber has composed Make a Joyful Noise for King Charles. The pupils at a primary school in
As London readies itself for the crowning of a new monarch, one school in Bermondsey has been working on an original song in recognition of King Charles, devised by assistant head teacher Mrs. Watchorn.
Luckily, my husband, Nathaniel, is a composer, so I had some music that was able to be used and some words were created to that, and then all of the children learnt it, and we wanted to incorporate sign language as well because we try and teach the children a few simple communication via sign language, so to make it very inclusive and also for our children to understand that this is a way that they can also communicate.
Students at St Joseph's also enjoyed a regal lunch. Cream tea was served in cups. And the young people gave me their thoughts on the King.
I think that he's nice. I think he's a marvellous person and he deserves to be king.
The king is, I think, a very important figure in modern day because he really stands for the country. He is like the face of the United Kingdom.
But some pupils even discussed what they would like to see from the sovereign.
Maybe for July we can also have that year off of school as well.
The year?
Yeah. Just the month of July maybe.
So you want July off for all school children?
Yes.
I think that's a very good idea.
And the work people need, and people who work need to get paid more.
Perhaps not a decision that falls under Charles's new remit. Either way, today was a chance for the children to pay tribute to His Majesty, to his lifetime of public service as we enter a new age. Anna Geary, ITV News.
And you can watch the whole day of the coronation unfold here on ITV. We'll have special coverage of what is going to be a momentous event, all starting at 8:30 on Saturday morning. But for now, from us, that is it. Charlene is here next with the ITV Evening News. From all of us on the London team, thank you for watching and have a lovely evening. Bye-bye.